everyone. Hello. How are you all doing today? Good to see you. Hello.
I am.
That's not what I wanted. How are y'all doing? Hello. It's good to see you. Wait, I don't know why I turned the music off because I'm like, I'd like to just chat for a minute, and then here I am muting it. I want to say Skulls for the Skull Throne should be next month if they're doing it this year. I think it's in June or July. Do I think we'll see a totally new army for Age of Sigmar this year? I'd have to look at the schedule, but I think so. I think there's a new army coming out this year. I can't remember if it's this summer or this fall, though. That's fine. All right. Fishman? No, I don't think they're bringing out the what are they called? The Aboleth. I don't think the Aboleth are coming out yet. Do I have any speculation of what could be the FLC for the Skulls Throne event? It could be my money would either be on a new legendary lord or a new legendary hero. I mean, it could be a monster, like a creature. It depends. Like, I think if they wanted to really capitalize on the Chaos Dwarfs, it could be good to maybe come out and release, like, the Chaos Siege Giant. But at the same time, I feel like it's probably too soon for the Chaos Siege Giant, because I would honestly feel like if they were to release it now, it would cause a backlash of like people being like, well, why wasn't this in the base release? So probably not that. It could be, I'm trying to think of something that is like obviously missing that would not be difficult to implement. I mean, probably the easiest thing to do would be a new legendary lord or legendary hero for one of the game 3 races. It's probably I would guess it's, if I had to like throw a knife at something on a dartboard, I would guess a new legendary lord or legendary hero for either Ogre Kingdoms or Grand Cathay, I think would be my honest guess. I don't think they're going to want to do anything with the demon characters, or like the Demons of Chaos, because like it's kind of hard to do one and not the others. Oh, you know what they could do? They could also maybe come out with something that, well, I guess they could do both. Like, I actually would not mind if they released a set of new like upgrades or Cornate upgrades for Daniel. So like how the Zinch upgrades came with the Mirrors of Madness, I would not at all be upset if they gave us Corn upgrades to go along with like maybe a legendary lord or legendary hero. But I think an Ogre Kingdoms or Grand Cathay thing would be kind of nice. Because both the Ogres and Cathay are pretty overdue right now for some goodies. Because everyone else has kind of gotten some stuff. Tybalane Lally57, how you doing? I don't think they're gonna do a Corn character though. Because I feel like they really want to keep the Chaos factions kind of relatively similar to each other, as far as like not releasing content for one without releasing content for the other three. Or at the very least, not doing content for one of them. I could see them releasing content for like two of them. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It kind of feels like they're sort of bound together, but I'm not sure exactly where they're going to go with that. Should Cathay's next update be another dragon, or should they get the Monkey King or a human? Well, it depends. If it's a free LC update, so like it's not coming with any new units, or like it's not coming with anything really substantial, it's just a new character, then I would say bring in a new Dragon Child. Because I don't think the Dragon Children would necessarily bring a lot of new content with them, because they don't necessarily expand on the systems we already have in any meaningful way. So like I think you could get away very easily with Yuan Bo or Yin Yin with the current stuff we have. I probably would not do Li Dao until much later, because I think Li Dao doesn't really make sense as a character until you have the nations that he's guarding the border against, which are the Naga of Koresh and the Kingdoms of End. So until those guys are in, Li Dao just doesn't make sense as a character to have in the game. Yin Yin could work really, really well, because Yin Yin would actually be the first. I feel like Yin Yin would be the Grand Cathay character who would not start in Grand Cathay. Like, I think Yin Yin starting in Lustria or the Southlands would make way more sense than her starting in Grand Cathay. No, Li Dao is the Southern Fire Dragon. We don't know the Monkey King's name. We know there is a Monkey King. We don't know his name. It's probably Sun Wukong, but we don't know for sure what his name is.
Time I can catch. How do you feel about the general atmosphere in the community regarding the old world? I feel like there is a lot of negativity and worry about the recent reveals. Well,
first of all, Yotam, I'm not really aware of the atmosphere because I've kind of been in a media blackout until later, because later today I am recording my reactions to all the old world content from Warhammer Fest. That being said, I say this, something that I have learned a lot, being a content creator and kind of like studying community and community interaction a lot lately, is that in my experience, the community doesn't give good reaction. Like, watching community atmosphere and reactions is kind of a pointless endeavor nowadays, until you actually release something. So like, whenever you're releasing nuggets of information or you're releasing small teasers, I don't think looking at community interaction is worth your time at all, because a lot of the time what's going on right now is that, in my experience, communities have developed a really unfortunate a lot of communities have developed a really unfortunate online communities have developed a very unfortunate habit where they work themselves up into a frenzy doing predictions, and like, I'm not going to name names, but there are content creators who I really don't approve of what they do, where they do something very similar of they try to really work up these like massive expectations with zero evidence. Like, they have no evidence supporting like their claims. They don't have anything. They're just like fucking sitting at the wishing well, just vomiting up ideas endlessly. And then they get angry that the bullshit they were spouting doesn't end up happening, even though like there was nothing, literally nothing, that indicated that any of the crap they were spewing was actually going to happen. But then they're like, oh, this is awful, blah, 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 because it's not what they wanted. Instead of taking a much more reasonable approach, which is like having very grounded and simple expectations, like keeping it as simple as you possibly can, and then working with working with the nuggets of information that you're given and building up from there. Which, like, a lot of people think I'm a really positive person, and I don't really think I'm that positive of a person. Like, I am a compulsive complainer. Like, complaining and whining is something I do a lot. But I have very grounded expectations. And so a lot of people kind of come around and are like, wow, Loremaster Sotek is so positive. Like, I love how, like, I get so many messages about people saying how positive I am, and I'm not. I'm just fair. Which is kind of sad that that's considered positive. I just think there are way too many people that work themselves up into a tizzy over really silly things, or they allow their expectations to run away with fantasies. And then when their fantasies, which were never manageable, like they never had a fucking chance in hell at being paid off, but when they finally are forced to face the music and realize that, yeah, no, that's not going to happen, they get angry. Which I just find just absolutely ridiculous. But like, although you could consider this a negative take, there's also a lot to be said for negativity in that if like your interest is like really engaging a community and having a lot of interaction, whether that's because you just enjoy interaction or, you know, there's a financial incentive behind it, there's a lot to be said for how much negativity literally feeds into that. If you garner a negative atmosphere, you're going to have a lot of engagement. You're going to have a lot of interactions. Which is, you know, it depends on what you're looking for. My goal is to hold on to my sanity and enjoy the hobbies that I partake in. Like, that's all I care about at the end of the day. So, anywho, that is my thoughts on that. Also, yes, I saw someone ask about it earlier. Yes, there will be a Lustria campaign tomorrow. The roleplay, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, our Lustria campaign, will be resuming tomorrow. It'll start at, I think, 1:45 Central Standard Time. Yes, it'll start around 1:45 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and run for the usual time. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow because I think I might be getting sick, but I'm not 100% sure yet. We have a Lorebeards episode confirmed for Friday, this Friday. I'm actually going to tweet it out right now. This Friday at 10 a.m. CST. But yes, we're going to have Jude Hornberg on Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Jude Hornberg was one of the central figures behind the new lore on Laralorn Forest, which is the Wood Elf Enclave in the Northern Empire. And he is really central to a lot of the new elf lore, and is like really big on elves. He also has a lot of really big things on vampires. Fun fact, he's actually the guy that wrote the he also wrote the, I think it was the Fortress of Dawn segment in the Lustria book, and that also includes the adventure hook that talks about the vampire elf, which apparently he got some flack for. But he's written in Lustria, Winds of Magic, the Altdorf Crown of the Empire book, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Archives of the Empire Volumes 1 and 3, and some other stuff that'll be hopefully coming out in the near future. So we're gonna be talking a lot with him about his idea on vampires and like how they might be expanded in the future, or at least just his thoughts on undead in general. I'm gonna be asking him a lot about elves, because elves I kind of feel like are sort of underappreciated.
That which is sacrosanct I shall preserve.
Like, I feel like the memes have been getting almost a little out of hand on elves.
That which threatens I will destroy,
elf hate.
For my holy wrath will know no bounds.
Yes. Excellent. I'm glad you're taking important vows. I've been really interested to talk with him about that, because like I feel like elves are kind of at that point where like the meme is not necessarily as much of a meme anymore. Sigurskia, I take allergy pills every morning, and I also have a nasal spray every morning. It's just that, but I live in what's known as the allergy capital of the world. The part of Texas I live in is beyond infamous for being one of the worst places in the world to live in with allergies. I even took allergy shots for a long time. I didn't finish my allergy shots. One of these days I should go back and finish them, because it can make my immunity a lot better. But anyway, Sithric, I'm not sorry. So you're telling me it would help with your vampire lore? Yeah, I mean, and we'll take like questions from y'all as well. So I would really recommend showing up if you want to ask about elves and vampires. But yeah, we'll have a fun discussion about like the elf vampire and the dwarf vampire, like that. We kind of tossed around some ideas with Steve Darlington about that in the most recent live episode of Lorebeards. But I'm gonna be really curious to hear what Jude has to say. And for anyone that's like, oh, does that mean elf vampires exist? Well, we've never really seen one like expanded on. Like, and if you were asking me about my personal version of the Warhammer Fantasy Universe, I would say no, there are no elf vampires or dwarf vampires. But I've heard some really interesting ideas that I think it would be very possible to create elf and dwarf vampires, though you'd be working kind of with, you know, you'd be exploring unexplored realms, so to speak. But yeah. Mandalore on Lorebeard's win. At some point, I would like to start having on like content creators again. I'm still kind of enjoying the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay binge we're on right now. Though we will start expanding to other spheres of the hobby in the near future. Like, I'd really like to start having painters on, content creators and stuff like that. I don't know if Mandalore would even agree to ever show up on that. I don't know if that was something he'd be interested in. I haven't talked to him in months. I need to reach out to him and just see how he's doing. But I will kind of have that on my eventual to-do list.
What do you think the next DLC for Total War Warhammer 3 is?
Tech 27, I have called my shot. I've done my Babe Ruth called shot for Norska versus Kislev Lord pack. That is the part of me feels that's not correct. But if I have to pick something with literally zero information to go on, that is my current prediction. I'm basing it off absolutely nothing. So that's my called shot. But I reiterate, it is a shot in the dark. I have nothing to base it off of. What do I think about giving more legendary lords unique techs and tech trees? I think that's great. I really enjoy when when lords have their own like unique tech trees, and stuff like that. However, at the end of the day, it's like it's kind of more work in the sense that it's something that they have already done, and you know, why fix what ain't broke, so to speak. So I think there are some places where it works well, and there are other places where it's unnecessary. I think generally speaking, if you're dealing with a race that has a very complicated tech tree, like the Dwarfs or the Chaos Dwarfs, then having a unique tech tree probably is not really worth the effort. However, I do think if you're dealing with a race that does not have a very complicated tech tree, oh god, what's like a good example? You know, kind of like a lot of the chaos races, that's better. I would really like to, granted, I would like to see a lot of more changes made to them, but I really feel like Be'lakor should have a unique skill tree. Nakai has an interesting change. Granted, I don't really like Nakai's skill tree that much, or tech tree. I don't really like his tech tree that much. Yeah, the Empire's a good one. I think the Empire having a different tech tree is nice. Kislev, I think Kislev is a great example of a race that could really benefit from unique tech trees, especially because of the whole like city gimmick doesn't necessarily work that well once you get past the starting characters. So like Kislev having unique tech tree makes sense. I think if they give us a new Norskin character would make sense for a new tech tree. Do I think we'll get a roadmap? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like a roadmap almost always blows up in their face, because either like it inevitably gets released and then people don't like what's on it. Or what isn't on it. So I don't know. If I were CA, I would just not do roadmaps. If I were in their shoes, like, maybe I would try one more and see like how the community responds to it. But generally speaking, they don't seem to like roadmaps very much. Especially because sometimes they have to like change things around, and if they like release a roadmap and things end up having to get reprioritized or like moved around, it makes people angry. Like if I were CA, I just would not put out a roadmap, because it just seems to cause them more problems than like, and the only thing it gives is like a little bit of hype, I guess, but like it's kind of a long hype, like a dragged out hype, which the community is already not very good at dealing with. I don't know. I wouldn't put it out. Be'lakor makes the most sense as a mortal follower leader than a demon, as lore supports that. It doesn't, Guardsman. And I recognize your name, so I'm not going to go into my whole tizzy because, like, clearly you're just trying to set me off. You're just trying to get me going because I know you've been here for the rant. I recognize your name well enough that I know you've been here for the rant. So anyway, I want to thank you all again for coming by. I hope you had a good time. I'll be back in a little while, probably like 1 or 2 hours. Generally speaking, don't take that as fact. Just watch on, make sure you're following here with notifications on, or on Twitch. This is Twitch, or on Twitter or Discord. Those are the best places to know when I am live. Never believe me when I say I'll be gone for X amount of time, because whatever time I say, I'm lying. But yeah, hope you all had fun. We're making good progress on Scarbrand. Nick's Panic is, what did Scarbrand do to get exiled? Scarbrand literally backstabbed Khorne. Basically, he was risen up as Scarbrand, or as Khorne's greatest general. Like, he was Khorne's most favored and mightiest champion. And Tzeentch started fucking around with Scarbrand's head, and basically stoked Scarbrand's pride and put the idea in his head that he was mighty enough that he could take Khorne and take him down and maybe even take his place. So when Khorne had his back turned, Scarbrand attacked him with everything he had, and he put a little scratch in Khorne's armor. But the sheer audacity of attacking Khorne and betraying him made Khorne immensely pissed. So Khorne literally just like grabbed him by the throat and dragged him up to the top of the Brass Citadel, and then threw him, just chucked his ass out into oblivion, and he eventually crash landed in the mortal realms. And the whole thing of being thrown so hard and so fast that he literally turned into a flaming meteor. And when he hit the earth, that's why his wings are all fucked up and he can't fly. And that's why part of his face is also missing, and there's like bone protruding out, is because of how he burned up through the atmosphere and hit the ground and lost a lot of parts of himself. But in any event, that's gonna be it.